presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and President Bola Tinubu were locked in a war of words over an alleged plot to manipulate the ongoing electoral dispute at the Presidential Election Petitions Court in Abuja. Atiku is the former vice president. In a statement on Saturday in Abuja by his media office, alleged that there are threats from the All Progressives Congress, APC's Tinubu, of course, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that aim to intimidate the judiciary from ensuring justice in the ongoing presidential electoral dispute. These allegations have, however, been dismissed by President Tinubu and the APC.
Atiku, who came second in the 25th February presidential election, is urging the Presidential Election Petition Court to overturn Mr. Tinubu's victory on account of alleged electoral fraud. Peter Obi of the Labour Party and the Allied People's Movement, APM, in their separated suites are also asking the five-member panel of the court headed by Haruna Samani to nullify the president's victory at the polls. Joining us to discuss this further is Mr. Akinola Bashiru, who's a political analyst and an APC chieftain. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us, sir. Hello, Mr. Bashiru, can you hear us?
I said thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right, good morning. So I'd like you to, first of all, react to the conversation. There have been calls by the opposition parties asking that the current, the victory of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu be overturned. There have also been allegations of the judiciary, of attempts to manipulate the judiciary. There were said to be phone calls that have been made to the Chief Justice. You know, I don't know if you can maybe give us further insight to this, confirm or not.
Anyway, thank you very much for the question. To start with, you have dubbed it allegation. And when you talk about allegations, allegations will remain allegations until it is proved otherwise. But be that as it may, of course, former Vice President Atiku, he was a contestant and he stayed contesting the election. So he's under pressure to ensure that he can pull every resource available to him to see how the election can be overturned. And you won't blame him if he believes that, he can stampede or probably blackmail the judiciary. But the fact we must look at here is that in the past, there have been a series of allegations. I remember there was a time they said the current CJN was meeting with Ashwaji in London. And before you knew it, the Chief Justice was in Abuja attending human service. And you also recall recently that one of the judge on the tribunal was claimed to have resigned his appointment. And lo and behold, when the issue was fact-checked, it was discovered that there was nothing like that. So if we have all of these experiences of false allegations, false alarm, that have been speeded up by the opposition, so you should not lose sleep over the latest one, which of course the APC as a party has come forward to debunk. Not only that, the Supreme Court also has equally come out to say that there was nothing like that. I would think that we should allow it to rest at that point.
Well, I want you to also react to one of the things that Atiku and his legal team are saying, and of course, including this media aid, and that is with, in reaction to the claims that a disqualification or annulment of the elections will lead to anarchy and chaos in the country. They are saying that, that should not be used to intimidate the judiciary or, seemingly blindside the judiciary into voting in the APC's favor because, the whole claims of anarchy and chaos are false. So I want you to quickly react to that. Do you agree with the whole idea of anarchy if President Tinubu, is sent packing by the courts?
The point is this, the judiciary has all the available facts before it and will act based on that. I read the conversation because when you talk about causing anarchy and all that, you cannot take this out of context in which it is presented. And I think for record purpose, it was the legal team of the president that was justifying on different parameters and different bases that where injustice is the order of the day, you are likely to have opposition to such. You understand? But I don't see that, say that when the decision is taken, there's going to be anarchy and all that. The moment the judiciary can justify its position, as well as a Democrat, and we know that. And I know that even while he was out of government, he has always been available to test, decisions, policies of government or individual in the court. So if he, over the years, has believed in the court and has subjected himself or other issues of interest to him, to the same judiciary, I do not see any reason for him to promote anarchy or to talk about anarchy. When the court believes in its own reasoning that the decision has to be taken in a particular way, either for or against. So I don't see why there should be anarchy anywhere, because will anarchy now change the decision of the judiciary? So I would rather suggest that now that all the parties have appeared before the judiciary, let us have faith that the judiciary will come back to the general public, with decisions, of course, that will not only help to sustain democracy, but that will be taken in the interest of the Nigerian public.
All right, let's talk about some of the drama going on within the APC itself. Of course, we know that we talked about the exit of the APC national chairman and the secretary as well, and there have been projections for who will take the next that position. The former governor of Kano State, Umaru Ganduje, has, according to the news, they say, and I'm going to quote the Punch, it says he has intensified lobbying in his bid to emerge as the next national chairman of the All Progressives Congress. I'd like you to share your thoughts with us on this, projections for who the next national chairman would be, and if, Umaru Ganduje stands a high chance, and what that would mean for the All Progressives Congress.
Yeah, thank you very much. The issue of who becomes the chairman of APC cannot but be an issue of public interest. And then as a political party with active political actors, it is not out of place for individuals who believe they have the basic qualification and the right exposure to wanting, to aspire to wanting to lead the party. And if former Governor Ganduje believes that he has what it takes to aspire to become the chairman, so be it. But I know that the National Working Committee and, of course, the stakeholders of All Progressive Congress are in good position to determine where this chairmanship should go to, and, of course, who should occupy it. But, of course, from the look of things, I know that there were other people were talking about Tankwal Makura, and you will recall that Tankwal Makura was among the top contenders before the law fell on Adamu, the former national chairman. So for me, different interests will continue to rise, different people will continue to show interest, but the final say of who becomes the national chairman, I think, will rely mainly on the National Working Committee and, of course, the stakeholders within the party. And I don't think we should lose any, sleep.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone is losing sleep. Nigerians, of course, are dealing with, intense cost of living crisis, at this point. Petrol is, the highest that's ever been in Nigeria's history. The exchange rate, is 876 to the dollar as of today. Nigerians, are struggling to feed. And I'm not talking about the poor Nigerians. I'm talking about everybody. So, if you say we shouldn't lose sleep, well, you might be arguing. But I want to, ask, further with regards of Lai Ganduje, the former governor of Kano State. In the time when he was governor, of course, I'm sure that you remember the, drama that ensued when he was videoed pocketing dollars in his agbada. Does it matter, to the APC that these things, do these things matter at all to the APC? The persons and the personalities. I'm sure that you're going to say, well, the court didn't find him guilty, or, he wasn't, found guilty of anything. I'm sure that's what, your response would likely be. But do these things matter? The quality of personalities that the APC might be putting in, these positions to lead Nigeria forward. And why I'm asking is because over the weekend, we also saw Asari Dokubo, who we all know who he is. Coming out in full defense of the APC and President Tinubu. We've seen persons like this that do not paint the brightest picture of Nigeria. In positions in the APC that I don't know. So does it matter, the past of Abdullahi Ganduje as governor and with the scandal that, of course, rocked his time as governor?
Yeah, thank you. In the first place, let me thank you for preempting me. For you to have preempted me means that you yourself, you appreciate the fact that when somebody has not been convicted of an allegation, the person is yet to be a convict. So thank
Absolutely.
you thank you for saying that. Now the point is this: in the course of election, there were so many things. Social media has become such how do I put it now? Such a versatile domain that there's nothing impossible, right? And if Ganduje, from what you have said, yeah, the video went viral and all that. But of course, up to this moment, nobody can actually say what actually transpired. And I'm aware now that recently, the Kano State government has approached a prominent lawyer in Nigeria to take this issue up. So I would rather suggest that we look at that and let us see. And by the way, if you look across all the political parties, you hardly find a saint amongst them. But the moment, the basic fact and the justification anybody can rely on to convict, or to pass judgment on any individual in the course of any allegation or wrongdoing can only be at the level of approved authority. For example, the court now, who can examine all the facts before it and come to a conclusion. The moment so that has not been done, it's difficult for us to now say because some people have put up an allegation, you should deprive an individual of what he or she is entitled to. And please, let us also, I am being worried about the narrative being pushed here and there. I'm worried to the extent that even those of us or those people who are in positions, especially in the media, who are supposed to look at issues dispassionately, have put themselves in positions of oppositions, thereby expressing a lot of sentiments and their own personal views on issues. I would think that, as media houses, we need to present facts the way they are. And if possible, we need to fact check. Check, for example, the issue of the CJ you talked about. For God's sake, media houses went on rampage, carrying these stories all over the place. And I remember in those good old days, before you put any news in the public domain, some level of cross-checking must have
but I don't think any media house, said these things with authority. Media house professionally would always say allegedly, and of course would share, connections to where these stories are coming from. It's not, I don't think any media house, with authority said that we can prove anything concerning the CJN and President Tinubu. I'm not sure any media house did that. There's always, when we invite you as a guest, we're inviting you to speak on allegations that have emerged, in the last couple of days, not on pure facts.
And to help us clarify.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
And when we say that whatever we say is a fact, nobody is going to argue that it's a fact. Did Abdullahi Ganduje have videos of him putting dollars in his pocket? It's a fact. He did. Was he convicted? No. And of course, I also said that. So I think, it's important that we also, put that out. That if it's an allegation, we have you as the expert, as the APC chieftain, to, of course, clarify what these things might be. Not because the media house is saying that these things are factual. I hope that, clarifies things.
When you say it's a fact, I can tell you this, and you also know that the power of social media, the power of graphics, the power of photoshopping and all that cannot be underestimated. Let's get that clear.
Oh, yeah.
It has happened. It has happened all over the place. Because of the campaign, so many people were saying different things about Ashiwaju and all that. And at the point, they're asking themselves, is the same Ashiwaju then?
Mr. Bashir, we'll come further to have more conversation about this, but we unfortunately have run out of time. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning.